Image navigation. Hello friends! For successful work in Photoshop, it is necessary not only to be able to open a document, but also in the future, in the process of your creativity, you will definitely need to take a closer look at some details, or move the document in such a way that is convenient for you to work in it. All this is called document navigation, and that's what we are going to talk about now. Let's take this lighthouse in New Zealand as an example and talk first about how you can zoom in and delete the image. But you probably already remember, of course, and I will remind you anyway. By scrolling the mouse wheel backward and forward, we can zoom in and out of the image. And of course we can use elevators to move this document around our workspace. Now I'm going to show you a few other ways we can do this. We will start by looking at the palette, which is called Navigator. To open it, go to the Window menu and select Navigator, and you get this palette, in which you see a preview of your image. In the lower left corner of our palette, you can see the scale in which this image is currently presented. That is, now I have about 30% of the actual size of this picture. I can put 100% like this. And now I have an image just here as its maximum scale with maximum quality. Of course, I can zoom in even more. And notice when I scroll mouse wheel, the numbers here continue to increase. And the maximum zooming in that is possible at all. It occurs until the pixels begin to be visible. Let me go back a little bit anyway. Perhaps you have already paid attention to this rectangle, which shows exactly the part of the image that we see. And if, for example, I want to look not at the top of the lighthouse, but at some other part of the image, then I can take the rectangle and start moving it. And as you can see, other parts of the image that fall into the area of this rectangle become visible. And this is the way I can move the rectangle around the image. And when I move the slider, of course, it decreases, because the area that is visible to us becomes smaller. If I move the slider to the left, the opposite effect occurs. That's about the way it all works. Let's minimize the Navigator palette and look at other options. I wrote them up. You can remember its icon. It looks so much like a steering wheel, and if you want to return to this palette, you can always click on the steering wheel and it will open again. Another way to zoom in and zoom out an image using the Ctrl and plus key or Ctrl and minus key. I press Ctrl and plus key, and each press of plus brings the image closer. If I press minus, the image is zoomed out. The Ctrl key remains clamped at the same time. And for scaling, you can use the magnifying glass tool, which is called by the hotkey Z. Let's take this tool and look. When I click on the image, it gets closer. If I want to move this image away from me, on the contrary, then I can either select a magnifying glass with a minus sign in the top menu, or just hold down the Alt key, and as you can see, the magnifying glass icon appears in my menu, and I can zoom out the image. Alt released, plus again, and I zoom in on the image again. Let's consider other settings. If we look closely at the top now, we will see that our image is now represented at a scale of 33%. And if we click on the 100% button, let's do it, then now the image will increase to its maximum scale, meaning the scale at which the image is displayed in its maximum quality, without loss, and further increase will already lead to loss of quality. If we select the next button, which is called Fit, then, as you can see from the hint, the image will be scaled to fit the screen. So I click, and as you can see, we have our image completely visible, and it fits just in the border of our workspace. If I select full screen, then all the free spaces that were on the sides before are removed from me. These are the free buttons. Let's see how the other settings work. For example, adjust window size. We will put a tick here. Initially, it doesn't stand here. And in order to make it clear how it works, I will pull out this tab with our image so that we have it separately. Here is this tab. Let's do this. And now watch what happens. I take the magnifying glass tool and click on the image. And look, at the same time as the image increases, my window also increases. I click again and the same thing happens. If I now hold down the Alt key and zoom out, then the window shrinks along with the image. In order to make the difference clear, let's remove this check mark and see what happens. Look, I click with magnifying glass tool. My image is getting closer. That is, the window doesn't change its size. I hold down the Alt key, click the magnifying glass again, the image still changes its scale, it decreases, and the window retains its dimensions. Let's put the image back in place like this, and in order for us to view the next option in all windows, we'll do this. We'll make a window arrange two up vertically. You already remember this operation, and now we have two images opened at once. And let me check all the windows. Look, I take the magnifying glass tool again and click on the left image. And you see, the right image is enlarged in the same way. Every time I click the mouse, the image gets closer and closer. And of course, it can be reduced in a similar way. Alt and both images start to shrink. And this may be the case not only with two images, but with a number that you are using at the moment. And let's look further. Uncheck in all windows and consider scaling by dragging. If you just leave this check mark and move the wheel back and forward, then the image either approaches or is zoomed out. But if we remove this check mark and at the same time hold down the left mouse button, we can draw with a magnifying glass tool such a rectangle or any other area. And now the exact area that I'm trying to highlight is coming closer. I release the left mouse button, and as you can see, this area becomes as closer as possible. Well, we have figured out the scaling of the image. Let's now see how to navigate through the image. Let's open some image in which there would be room to move. I'm currently using an image of a landscape from New Zealand. This is a beautiful place, and let's look at a tool called a hand. Here it is, and it is called by the H key, as you can see in the hint. And that's what happens when we have this tool active. If I zoom in on the image by scrolling the mouse wheel forward, and for example I want to see another part of it, I just press the left mouse button, and with the hand tool active, I can move the tool along the surface of my workspace as I like. That is, I can move it. Periodically, I switch, for example, to zoom in out by scrolling the mouse wheel. As I said, this tool is called using the H key, but sometimes it's not very convenient to see where is the key on the keyboard. And suppose you were working with some other tool, for example a brush, so I'm going to take such a rather big brush now. Just like that. For example, I drew something with this brush, and I need to switch to the hand tool now to see what I drew closer. I pinch the spacebar and hold it, and while I'm holding it, the hand tool is active, and I can move the image around the screen as I like, as soon as I let go. I have the same tool that was turned on before. I press the spacebar, hold it, the hand tool is active again. That is, in the process of working, it is very convenient. I highly recommend that you just remember this moment by pressing the space bar. The space key, you can go to the hand tool at any time and exit it. By the way, if I want to remove what I drew, I can just press the keyboard shortcut Ctrl+Z. It will be a step back. Once again, I pressed Ctrl+Z twice. This is a small addition. The hand tool has the same settings as the magnifying glass tool. Let's just look at scrolling in all windows. I have already opened two files at once, in the way you know. I tick the scroll in all windows, and look, I move this image. I have an image that is open at the same time. This is how you can view some parts of the image, if it's important to do it at the same time. There is another tool hidden under the hand tool. If we click here and hold on this arrow at the bottom of the tool, we will see that there is also a view rotation tool, which is called by the R shortcut. Let's see how it works. What is it for? With it, we can rotate the image. So I just clicked on the image and look, I'm rotating. A compass like this appears, and I can rotate the image. What is it for? It wasn't by chance that I opened this image with a drawing, because when you do something like this and you need to draw strokes by hand in all directions, it can be convenient to do. Well, for example, I took the brush tool and continued to draw something like this, maybe some elements of the image. That's something like that. And suddenly it seemed to me that it wasn't inconvenient to draw the lines that I needed in this particular angle, and then I take this tool and rotate the image in such a way that it is convenient to draw the same lines. That is, I take the brush again, and for example, it is more convenient for me to hold it from top to bottom, than from left to right. After I have done everything I need to, I can double click on this tool and everything goes back to its original place. This tool will probably be more understandable to those who are engaged in academic drawing and understand that it's not equally convenient to stroke under all directions. Here is another feature that releases to moving tool. By the way, yes, the instrument which is called hand, here, let's say U2, here I will bring it closer, so that at least something moves, somehow moved there. And if you want to return everything to its original state, then click on it twice in the same way and everything returns to its place. And I will show you another option from the same menu, image rotation, and flip the canvas horizontally. There will be mirroring in this way, and if you reflect the canvas vertically, then this mirroring is already in a different direction, like this. That is, these turns of the image remain, and those that we did with the help of the view rotation tool are temporary turns solely for the convenience of your work. As a homework assignment, I recommend that you try all these ways to scale and move the image. If you have any questions, of course, you can always ask them. AIM School was with you. See you soon!